and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast, the first episode of June, and our not first episode with our fantastic guest, Mr. Steven Keller. Steven, bringing in June. What's your take on the first of every month? Because I think that's when this comes out. If not, I'm going to feel like a real idiot. But do you do anything special on the first of every month? I don't know what you would do, Ness. I don't do anything specific, but
I pay my mortgage. That's
a very important thing to do on the first of the month.
I mean, the real question would be, it's right after Memorial Day weekend, and we're recording the show right before it. You got any big plans for Memorial Day weekend?
It's a much better question than my ridiculous question that I asked. What do you do on the first of every month? Paying the mortgage is a good answer, though. Yeah. What? Any big Memorial Day plans?
No, it's crappy weather here this week. Like, it's gloomy out today. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. We haven't really hit spring yet here.
So it sounds like you're going to be playing some pretty good video games.
Yeah, I'll be playing some video games. Watch some soccer today. Watch some soccer tomorrow. Pretty much.
Something happened today in soccer. If you've watched Midnight Mass and other shows on Netflix by Mike Flanagan, the scary guy, this guy Rahul Kohli, who plays the sheriff in Midnight Mass, and I can't remember the character's name, Owen, I think, in Haunting of Bly Manor. Amazing actor. Really outward Twitter presence, and he was really tweeting a lot today about some team lost. WRC, is that actually a team, or am I making this up? I don't know. There's a lot happening in football today.
Yeah, today was the UEFA Champions League final, and I think he's a Liverpool fan, and they were in the championship game.
Okay, he seemed upset by the outcome. At this point, not a spoiler. It will have already happened. But yeah, that's that. I like my soccer exposure or football exposure, depending on your preference. It's really him, and then the fact that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney own part of a team. So they tweet about it a lot too. I'm trying to remember who they own. I also used to play soccer in high school. That's a fun fact about me. Scored 1 goal once. Rode the bench a lot. I don't know if I've talked about that on the podcast, but
what was your position?
So my position was bench primarily, just on the bench. When I went in, I think predominantly I would play midfield, but honestly, I don't even remember now. And I don't want to remember.
Yeah, my extent of soccer enjoyment was the oranges when you're sitting on the side. Whew.
Oh, orange slices, yeah.
That was about it. I have no idea what I was doing on the field.
I liked playing as a kid until I played for 2 years. And it was the really early learn to play stuff. And we were outside running around, and my coach started screaming at us, "Guys, watch out, ducks." And I was like, what? And
ducks,
so
where?
I ducked.
You kicked the duck?
No, I ducked thinking we were supposed to be ducking from the ball or something, but there were ducks flying overhead, a lot of them, and we all got pooped on. And then I was just like, I'm done here. I don't want to, so I always associated duck poop with soccer, and I couldn't play anymore.
Stating the obvious, I feel like that's unfair to soccer. Just kind of a wrong place at the wrong time situation.
Oh, for sure. Because then I went on to play softball, which was equally outside in a field. So.
And you got pooped on then too?
Surprisingly, no, never.
Wow, that's good. I played religiously for from when I was 5 to when I was 16. I played every summer, but that was much better because it was a summer league and no one cared, right? When you play sports in school, everyone cares way too much. That's my opinion. Whereas in summer, you're just kind of there for a good time for the orange slices. And I played a lot of midfield, and what I remember about midfield is that you just have to run forever. That's it. That's all you really do. But shout out to Liverpool for losing today, I guess. That's the only team that I know played. And they lost to somebody. So
Real Madrid.
They lost to Real Madrid. There you go. Okay, well, soccer's on. Video. What video games are you playing right now? Or are we eating into what are you up to Wednesday update?
Well, so this comes out on the 1st. So it's Jurassic June is what I live by. So it's
nice.
Where us Jurassic fans celebrate June. And so I'm going to start playing Jurassic World Evolution and replay Lego Jurassic World.
Right. Now I'm familiar with the Lego Jurassic World. I think I played it. I'm trying to remember the circumstances in which I played it. Or it might have been a different Lego game because a lot of the Lego games are very similar. And they're great. shout out to Lego games. Very carefree, very fun. It sounds like a good way to spend a unfortunately bad weather weekend. On our end here, we're kind of bouncing around, I would say, between good weather and bad weather. So what actually winds up happening on Memorial Day, your guess is as good as ours. But hopefully next week we'll report that we were outside and I don't know, doing outside things. On this week's episode, we are going to be talking about inside things because, I don't know, this is a nerd podcast. We don't talk a whole lot about outside things. We're going to be talking about a crafty new take on Winnie the Pooh. The classic animated character, usually very heartfelt, very good-natured. An interesting spin on that. We'll talk about that. We're going to be talking about the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that was just announced, and we got a first trailer for that. And we're going to be talking about the latest and, I believe, final trailer for Thor, Love and Thunder, which releases on July 8th, 2022. I know at least a few of us here are excited for that one. But I want to start with this Winnie the Pooh twist that has come about. There is a new horror film that has been recently announced, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And if you're thinking, that sounds scary or weird or creepy, you're correct. All of the above. This is a horror film that reimagines beloved children's book, originally book character, I should have mentioned that, as a serial killer. And let me just say, some of the stills, like production stills that have been released for this, that are on this IGN story, are pretty haunting. Obviously, you see Winnie the Pooh, who kind of just looks like a dude wearing a Winnie the Pooh mask and like overalls and like kind of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre-y kind of get up. There's also, it looks like a wild boar, but I assume it's supposed to be Piglet.
Yeah, I think it's
the other
Piglet.
guy. Quite the take on Piglet. Now, there is some precedent here with the director, Rhys Frake Waterfield. He apparently has previously created movies. The production company, Jagged Edge Production, based out of London, has made movies called The Curse of Humpty Dumpty and The Legend of Jack and Jill. So their kind of shtick at this point seems like they're going to take beloved fairy tales or feel-good stories and make them not that. I think this is great. I'm just like, I think this is going to be met with some, I don't want to say controversy, but like people are going to be like, why is this happening? I think this is interesting. This is cool. It's like in a world of reboots and kind of franchises, this is going to be, I think, an interesting, probably one-off take on something that could wind up being very good. It's an indie production, no doubt, so I'm not sure it's going to make a whole lot of waves, but I kind of hope it does.
So do we know what the plot is exactly?
So I heard basically Christopher Robin goes off to college and leaves all of his stuffed animals behind without food or anyone to care for them. And Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, for lack of a better appropriate word, get absolutely pissed and go on a killing spree. And apparently they, at one point, kill and eat Eeyore, which...
Wait a second.
Oh, brother.
These are supposed to be stuffed animals? Because they look like just people wearing masks in the photo that I see.
Yeah, supposedly, from the plot that I read, that is what they're going for. But they look terrifying.
So this is sort of on the guise of maybe like a Freddy Krueger type thing where they're this almost mythical horror figure, I guess you would call it.
It remains to be seen, I think, for the time being. What does not remain to be seen? Well, so for those that don't know, until recently, Winnie the Pooh was a Disney character. But the work of the original author, A.A. Milne, recently entered public domain, which means it's just fair game. So I love the implication here that someone was waiting very patiently for like their chance to turn Winnie the Pooh into a serial killer. That makes me very happy. Steven, horror fan? Winnie the Pooh fan? Both fan? Will you be seeing this?
Not a horror fan. I do like Winnie the Pooh. I remember as a kid I had like hardback copies of the books, the original books. And I remember watching some Disney kid show, like Welcome to Pooh Corner or something like that was the show.
That sounds right, yeah.
On Disney Channel. But yeah, this just seems, the premise seems absolutely insane with Pooh and Piglet going feral and going on a rampage because Christopher Robin went to college. It seems like insane.
I got a Techtic prediction. It's going to start off as a horror film, but end as a hero film. And what I mean by that is Christopher Robbins. That's my Pooh impression. Christopher Robin, there we go, is going to find out that there's murders going on, and it's going to end with him taking an axe to Winnie the Pooh's neck, and it's going to be like, I had to stop him. But Piglet's going to survive.
Sequel. And so that'll be the sequel, and then Tigger and Rabbit will come out.
Well, that's the thing. Tigger's not public domain, so he can't be in it. That's one thing I read.
Tigger isn't public. Why is Tigger not public domain?
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, he was. So that's why it's just Pooh and Piglet, because they're the only ones.
I wonder if the original book, I'm trying to think back now, because I remember, I haven't read the original book in a really long time, but I don't think Tigger was in the original. Like maybe that might have been something that Disney added.
That's interesting. I've never considered that. I wonder when I hear about movies like this, like when I was a younger lad, I would we would hang out, like me and some friends, and like we'd be in my friend's basement at like 2 a.m, and we'd be like in high school and teenagers. Just never a good situation. And we'd always wind up watching like the most ridiculous movies. And when I see a movie like this, I think this is a Illeagle's friend's basement at 2 a.m. kind of movie, which like theoretically there is a market for that, right? Like there's people who are going to seek this out and watch it, not for any like merit-based reason, but because it is what it is, right? It's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. That alone kind of draws people enough to say like, hey, it'll be hilarious if we watch Blood and Honey, and then they'll go and do it. So
yeah, this is like a human centipede type movie.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of like, no one wants to watch Human Centipede, right? Like no one's saying this is going to be good. They put it on because Human Centipede is an interesting example because people probably watch it just to say they did. But also, again, people were like, well, it'd be really funny as if we watched Human Centipede. I think this might fall into that same category, and I think there's probably a world in which movies find success in that way. I don't know like what the dollars and cents look like in that regard. But certainly no one famous in this movie, it didn't like, I can't imagine a famous actor reading this script and thinking, I want to be in this. So a lot of no names.
Also, I just did some quick research. Apparently, so the first Winnie the Pooh book is public domain, but the second one, which is when Tigger was introduced, is not yet. So in a few years' time, perfect for a sequel, Tigger will be ready to go.
When I was a kid, we had this VHS tape that was like, it was Christmas. It was like Winnie the Pooh and his friends at Christmas trying to send a letter to Santa, and they couldn't do it. And I remember so
they killed everyone.
They didn't kill anybody. They got into a lot of mischief. That was how it worked. And I don't think they killed anybody, but I'll have to check back. I watched that tape so much that it probably do VHS tapes wear out? Because they probably wore out. I watched that so much. Winnie the Pooh is an amazing character. All the woodland creatures, great. Christopher Robin is okay. This is crazy. And again, I think it's cool. I think I'm on board with it as an idea. Am I going to personally watch it? Probably not. But
if they do add people, the next scariest one that I think they would make would be the rabbit. By the way.
Well, so that brings me to kind of a discussion question that this topic spawned in my head, which is, what other childhood character do you want to see re-genred? I guess doesn't have to be horror. Doesn't even have to be anything dark at all. It's just like, what do you like? There are other characters who have been recently kind of adultified. That's something that's relatively common now. So I'm just wondering aloud, what other. I will say for me, and the answer should be fairly obvious for anyone who knows me. I want a SpongeBob resurgence, and I want something that's geared towards an adult audience, because SpongeBob fans are adults now. I still quote SpongeBob.
I could see SpongeBob bumping a line, honestly, and being like, "Let's get it."
I mean, he's got that crazy nose. Can you imagine?
No, he wouldn't say, "Let's get it." He'd go, "I'm ready."
Right, exactly. No, I think you just gave somebody an idea. I hope you did. Any other thoughts floating around from the team here?
I would love
childhood characters you want redone.
Do you remember that old show Out of the Box?
Of course, I remember Out of the Box. And the song?
Yeah. out of the box. And they did basically just like crafting all day. That's like the entire thing of the show. And then like there would be some fantastical element and storytelling behind the crafting. Adults are also still really into like DIY. Make a DIY out of the box.
Right. They made that Amy Poehler, Nick Offerman show about how making it. It was pretty good. And it's just all, it was like crafting competition show. And granted, this doesn't have to be a competition show. It can just be like, it can be like Bob Ross, right? Similar to that. It's like, let's just sit down and do something. I like that. Any other thoughts?
Can't think of anything.
It's a deep topic. Let's consider this a homework assignment. Hit us up on Twitter, @OW-Illeagle86, @OW-Techtic, @OW-Nerdbomber, our main show account, @OnlineWarriors1. What childhood character do you want to see come back in such a unique way as this? It doesn't have to be horror, but something kind of more adult or oriented.
I got it. A Kill Bill-esque, like that kind of genre. Big comfy couch.
I'm trying to envision what that would even look like, and
she's like the main action protagonist, or
scary clown.
What about the?
No. She is like kicking ass, taking names, kind of thing.
But the point still stands.
Sorry,
she's still a clown.
Pulp Fiction.
She's still a clown. So inherently a scary clown.
So like put her in the world, like a black and white grainy world, kicking ass and like, where's my money? Knocking people out. She'll still have the clown nose, but she'll just be gritty. Not a horror though. Action.
But you need to involve the couch somehow. So that's your homework assignment, is figure out how the couch is involved.
That's where the drug lab is. It's in the couch.
There's a drug lab in the couch. Well, I guess we'll circle back.
Remember the little lint guys would come out? They're the ones that are cooking the meth for her. She's the head boss.
What on earth? You really just want to see like precious childhood characters become like drug addicts, don't you?
No, I want to see her to be like the head of a whole thing, like the guy from a
cartel
from Breaking Bad, the El Pollo Loco. What was his name?
Gustavo Fring.
Yeah, I want to see her as Gustavo, basically.
I'm up on my Breaking Bad. I'm not up on my big comfy couch. When you talk about these lint guys, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'll go watch some episodes. I probably won't, but I'm going to say right now that I'm going to go watch some episodes. So yeah, let us know on Twitter what characters you want to see reimagined. For now, we're going to plow forward into Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So this, of course, is a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, which came out a few years ago now. I don't remember exactly when. Following the story of Cal Kestis, the main character in Jedi Fallen Order. And we see a decent amount in this trailer. Some lightsaber action. I think the main thing we all want to know, that like, I started the first game, didn't finish it. Wasn't all that into it. So I certainly would have no chance of knowing. I am weird. I'm willing to own that. But I want to know, nonetheless, who the person in the back to tank is. Is there any way for us to know that here and now? Or is it not actually known?
There's a lot of speculation on it, but nobody could determine what it is. Apparently there's an old Jedi Master who's teased in the first game. That's who everyone thinks it is.
I hope is it Darth Plagueis the Wise? Well, he's a Sith Lord. I'm just thinking about old Jedi Masters who I would be interested in seeing. I guess Sifo Dyas I've been watching the prequels lately, so I'm like up on my prequel stuff, but not so much my sequel stuff. I just think Master Sifo Dyas is like the coolest name ever. But
there's a lot of different people that people are speculating online. I think my favorite theory, though, and if you've played the game, there's a character that you encounter, I think it's on Dathomir, maybe? Terran Malicos. And he has, I think the thing that stuck out for me was like, in the tank, there's like white flowy hair that kind of reminds me of like Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. And so if you like think about that character, if he grew out his hair, because I think there's like a 5-year gap between the games or something like that, then that is one possibility, but I'm not sure.
I should probably try the first game again. That was also like, and not super related to this trailer, but like seeing that it's getting a sequel just kind of tells me like, okay, I guess this game was pretty good. I'm trying to remember what I didn't like about it, but I definitely
it was hard. The parrying was hard. Was what was for me.
So I have a suggestion for you then. If it's difficult, So, and it was not an easy game by any means. There were a lot of points where I died and I was like, oh, okay, that's frustrating. I got to do it again. But overall, like, I really enjoyed the game.
Don't tell me to turn the difficulty down.
Yeah, go on easy
I'll never
mode.
do that either.
Just do it on easy mode.
I'm never going to do it.
I would rather break a game in half than play it on easy mode.
But why?
Yeah,
this is now kind of like an offshoot tangential debate. Feelings on easy mode and justify your feeling. Go.
I'm less of a human being if I go.
Yeah, Techtic and I are fully aligned on this. If I go to easy mode, I am admitting defeat of some kind, and I can't do that in the context of video games.
Call it toxic masculinity, call it what you will, but I can't go on easy mode.
Do you not also read like wikis and game facts?
I have, but with deep shame. Like in certain games, like what was the game, the puzzle one that I
Luigi's Mansion.
Witness. No, I did not have to read any game facts for Luigi's Mansion. I think I found all the gems, like legitimately in that game. But this game Witness, I know I mentioned on the show. It was like a puzzle game it was on PlayStation and like on Steam and stuff. And I played the crap out of it. But there were certain puzzles that like I was like, I just don't know how to do this, and it's killing me because they're like these little silly puzzles. And I looked a couple of them up, and I felt just the deepest. I felt like a subhuman when I did it. It's very hard for me. Same thing went for Metroid Dread. There were a couple times where I had to look something up, and I felt so bad about it. And I remember Steven, last time you were here, I think we talked about Metroid Dread, and I talked about how hard it was, and that was a huge element of it for me. It beats you down. Right?
I don't think looking something up is bad, because it's not so much that you have less skill to overcome something. It's just you're getting a clue of where to go if you're like lost. But like when it comes to like boss fights and things like that, that's the thing I will not cave. It's because I know that deep down inside I can pull the strength out to win.
See, I have a different take on it though. And typically what happens for me is I'll feel my interest waning in a game, especially if it's a really long game. So for example, I haven't done this yet with Horizon Forbidden West, but with Horizon Zero Dawn, I actually left the game, played other stuff, came back to finish it. And as I was finishing it, like I just felt my interest starting to wane just because it had been so long. And so it wasn't necessarily that I couldn't beat the bosses, but instead of being stealthy, I just kind of wanted to run through and finish the story out, because I'm also the type of problematic player where even if I'm getting over a game, I will play until I get every last side mission complete. And like, even that's why it's taken me so long to get through Horizon Forbidden West. Like I go to every freaking icon on my map, and I'm going to hit the same point where like I need to turn it on easy mode, not because I can't do it, but because I need to move faster. And like, I don't have the time to be stealthy and take my time and like put traps everywhere. I just want to be able to like 3 or 4 hit, kill a big bad robot with my arrow and then be done with it so I can advance the story.
I have never once been like, I'm going to stop this game, play another game, and then come right back to it. You're saying so much right now that I'm just like...
I usually don't. Usually I will, if I leave a game, I never come back to it, but I really do love the entire Horizon franchise and the story and everything about the world building and characters. And it was something that I think I had gotten a new game and it was like short, and it was like, okay, I can take a break from this.
It was just sitting there.
Yeah, like I've been investing like 30, 40 hours into Horizon at this point, and this one's only going to take me 10, so let me set this down and go play this other game, which then led into let me play another short game while I'm taking a break, and then eventually I went back. Usually I can't though.
I've kind of done that with Mass Effect, because like I'm going through I'm still finishing up a move and like fixing up a new house, and so I don't often have time to like sit down and like really dive into Mass Effect in a big way. So I've been playing Wingspan on my Switch, like that's what, because I will play that for like 40 minutes and have a complete experience and be done with it. But I am gonna go back to Mass Effect. Like I guess that's kind of the same thing, but it's a little different to me. Steven, where do you stand on easy mode? Where you've been relatively silent on this.
Life is short, and I want to get through the game and experience the story, so I'm all for it if it makes...
Okay.
See, Steven, I knew I liked you better than these two.
Team Nerdbomber. Yeah, or rather, Nerdbomber's on Team Steven. I'm gonna put it that way. Well, Techtic and I will I don't know, continue fighting the good fight and not have a good time. Like I know you're right. Like when I think about it, like because like Metroid Dread, man, like again, going back to that, like by the end of that game, I wasn't even having a good time, and it was because of it was self-imposed, and I know that. Like I can rationally talk about that. I can't do it. I can't switch to easy mode. It's just not. I'll feel bad about myself.
Plus, it makes winning that much more satisfying. That's
true as well. But it's definitely something that I need to work through on a psychological level. Getting back to Jedi Survivor. Yeah, well, we don't know who the person in the back is. There's a lot of theories. I will say this is a game that, and granted, I know this isn't gameplay footage. I'm aware of that. But I know recently on the show, whenever we've talked about next-gen games, I have been like, these graphics aren't that good. The graphics here were very good, I thought. I was very on board with what they were doing. A lot of the shading looks amazing.
Next gen only. I think we're starting to finally see these games where they're not going to kind of like hold themselves back because they're dual generationing it. I just made a word up. It's fine.
But I was very on board with that. I like the look of the villain, assuming that is who the main villain is.
Even down to the teeth angle, I was like, nice job.
Star Wars really do be good at making dudes look evil. That's if there's one strong point they have, it's that. I mean, Darth Vader is one of the most famous menacing characters of all time, and they've really held up their end of the bargain there. I don't know. My takeaway from this, like, am I going to buy it and play it? I need to go back to Fallen Order, and at that point, it just depends whether I can work through my issues enough to switch Fallen Order to easy mode. I think might be what this boils down to. But Steven, I don't know, did you play Fallen Order? Will you be playing Jedi Survivor, or was this just kind of a nothing deal to you?
This will be a day one purchase for me. I did play Fallen Order. I liked it a lot. Yes, the combat is difficult, but I didn't feel like it was challenging to the point where I needed to quit the game. Like, it didn't feel like a Souls-like, which people tell me the combat actually is kind of like a Souls-like, but I felt like I was able to get through it all and just really enjoyed the story. So
basically what you're saying is you're better than us at this game.
He is saying that, yeah.
Pretty much, yes.
I literally remember, like, the first scene of the game. Like, it's the warm-up. Like, you're on the train. Remember the part on the train right at the beginning? They're teaching you how to do the game. And I kept dying. And I was like, oh my God, I just suck at this. Am I just bad at this game? Like, I remember having having to do some, like, soul searching.
Oh, like, mine was just the boss fight.
I just not do this?
With. Yeah, you're probably worse than I am then.
I'm sure I am. I think I just sucked all around at it. But I'm willing to try it again. I don't know. The story, I will say, the story looked amazing, and the parts that I experienced were amazing. And I know that's one of the things that's really touted with this game, and probably with Jedi Survivor. So that certainly draws me in enough to probably try it again.
Well, I think one of the things that I really liked about the game too was how your skills grew as you progressed in the game, because it really did feel like you were kind of learning with Kale, you know, as he tapped into his memories and his Jedi power, you gained more skills and more different ways to, you know, take down enemies and stuff. And I really liked that character leveling progression. And so if you guys didn't get far enough in there, you might just have only been like doing the very basic, I guess I want to say hand-to-hand combat, but it's not lightsaber to body combat.
Yeah,
and not getting any of
else.
The fun tricks that Kale develops as the game progresses.
I mean, I got to pull and push, so...
Yeah, so you're basically there. Yeah, I didn't even get that far. I obviously didn't get very far at all. I should probably retry it. Maybe I'm in a... Like, there have been plenty of games I've revisited and been like, okay, I wasn't in the right headspace last time, and now I am.
Like Mass Effect?
Yeah, that's what it's like Mass Effect. It's one of the great things about video games. It's just sometimes it'd be like that. But day one purchase for Steven. Nerdbomber, Techtic, day one purchases for you? I mean, Techtic, it sounds like no, I don't want to assume, but... Nerdbomber, day one for you?
I don't know if it'll be day one, but it'll be like the first time it goes on even like a mini sale.
Or even Game Pass, maybe?
Or Game Pass, yeah.
Right. Well, we're all on board, it sounds like, even me to a lesser extent, but I am on board. This one drops in 2023. I don't think we have an exact release date beyond that yet, but we will be watching closely to find out about that, and also find out who the heck is in the back to tank. Because we all want to know, Star Wars. Just tell us. Okay, so we are going to transition here into our usual break. But before we do, I'm going to give my usual shout out to our fantastic Patreon producer, Mr. Steven Keller, in an unusual fashion because he's here right now. Steven, thank you so much for all you do for the show. Hopefully you're enjoying being here with us. And hopefully you enjoy getting weekly input into the game segment and also access to the monthly secret segment and vlog. Steven gets these things as a result of his night level support on our Patreon. That's the highest of our 3 tiers of support. There's also a Squire level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog, and a page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. And for more of the details on any and all of those levels of support, you can head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. I also want to note that Techtic says I say the most during this part of the show. And I've been hyper conscious of it this entire time. And I think you're right. I will say that. I've noticed it. I've been hearing it come out as I do this. That doesn't mean it's any less important, obviously. But I guess it's when I feel the most pressure. Because I just want people to head over to Patreon. Check us out. So head over to Patreon. Check us out. Thanks again to Steven for being here and for continuing to support the show. And we'll take a short break now before diving right back in and talking more about Thor, Love, and Thunder.
Hey everyone, my name is Josh and I am the host of the Still Loading podcast. On Still Loading, I talk about retro and modern video games, video game history, as well as some goofy projects such as an episode of dramatic readings of video game manuals. I've also had composers like Austin Wintory, Andrew Prallo, and Chad Sider on to talk about their upcoming projects. New episodes are released every other Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to check out the show, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, Thor, Love, and Thunder. This is coming out much sooner. I was about to say much more sooner than Jedi Survivor. This comes out July 8th, 2022, and as a result, we've seen the teaser, we've talked the teaser on the show, but we, this past week, got a much longer official trailer. Generally, and the Marvel trailers kind of follow this formula a lot, where the teaser comes out, the last 5 seconds of the teaser shows something juicy, and you're like, oh, shooky. And then they come out with the official trailer, and they're like, yeah, you know this now. So, like, you know that Jane's coming back. So now we're going to feature a lot more of Jane and Thor's interactions, and we're going to feature a lot less of the Guardians. I thought that was the more interesting part of this, is like, we saw the Guardians for 5 seconds of this trailer, whereas in the first trailer, they are much more prominently featured. So my main question coming out of this, I guess, is which of those things is this movie trying harder to be? It's probably trying to do both, but is it a story about Thor and Jane, or is it a story about Thor and the Guardians? I think I was assuming it was going to be the latter, and I think I wanted the latter, because I think it fits a lot better with the Ragnarok storyline that I thought formed the best of the previous 3 Thor movies. But
I think it's going to be
a lot to dig into here.
I think the key storyline isn't going to be surrounded really about him and Jane or him and the other gods. It's going to be about a true alliance to take on Gore, who we've now seen. Christian Bale.
That was the other big thing. I love Christian Bale. He looks terrible. I know that's intentional. The point? Yeah, I know it's intentional, but they were like, how can you be the most unflattering looking? Because that's the other thing too, is I don't know much about Gore. Techtic, maybe you can tell me more, but his whole thing is I'm gonna kill gods, and I'm over here no, you're not. Look at you. You swing that sword too hard, your arm's gonna pop off like SpongeBob. I wasn't really doing it for me.
Let me tell you, you like Gore. You like Gore. Gore is an incredibly complex, broken character that, oh my goodness. So just, if you guys don't know who Gore is a character who has gone through a lot of trauma. He lost his family, and it's in a world that is very appreciative of things like gods. And yet he questions, how can we say that gods exist when my whole family is dead? And so, based on, quote, their selfishness, he has vowed to destroy them.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
I'm with. I mean, it's a fairly pedestrian villain storyline, but it's fine. I'm not against it.
But here's what's really cool about Gore and why it's a big deal that he is now introduced. The question is, how is this, like, what would be just a normal, we'll call him an alien dude, able to take on gods? How? It seems crazy, right? Well, the answer is something called the Necro Sword. And that is
Which is the sword that we see.
Yeah, and we've seen that. But why does he have this sword and where does he get it? And that's what's so cool. So in Spider-Man, we were introduced to Venom, technically, in the post-credit scene. I think that's okay to say now. And so we know that symbiotes exist in this universe. We were introduced to Gore, and we're now going to be introduced to the Necro Sword. The Necro Sword is a weapon given to Gore by Null, a.k.a. the king of the symbiotes. Okay? So, in my opinion, this is pointing us right into the direction, potentially, of Null and this huge galactic battle where stuff goes down. So that's why we should be very excited about this. That's why it's an awesome villain. It really opens the door for other things.
By those other things, do you mean like Venom then kind of like coming into the mainline MCU?
Oh yeah, big time. Venom ends up. Yeah, we don't need to go down the segue path.
I was going to say you could go forever. I know that about you. Let's check in with Steven. Steven, where are you at on the MCU? Because I've, in recent episodes of this show, basically said that I think the MCU is over. Or maybe not in those exact terms, but I do feel that way. This trailer doesn't necessarily change my opinion on it. As much as I love the idea of a Zeus who looks kind of like a sitcom dad, I don't think that's going to save the MCU from slipping into mediocrity. But I want to know if you feel that way or if you feel like, no, it's still going, it's still humming, it's still good.
This trailer has only me a little concerned because I feel like it has two different tones to me. It's got that Taika Waititi, hey, we're super funny, we're having lightheartedness, it's going to be a fun time. And then all this stuff with Christian Bale just looks dark, serious, and like just a totally different movie. So I'm slightly concerned by that.
And that's why I think we should really focus on that, because Christian Bale, in my opinion, he thrives under those personalities. I mean, American Psycho, he was like all over the place. So him playing a broken, we're going to say a broken human being, but a broken person is really perfect for him. I think we're going to get just sort of this slushy of mixing of tones. And I don't see it being concerning. I think it's going to be an emotional roller coaster for sure, but you can't have Gore without being emotionally broken, and you can't have Thor and Natalie Portman, Thor and Thor, without it being fun and lighthearted. So it's going to be interesting for sure how they meld those two themes. But I don't think concerning is the phrase that I would use.
So I'm gonna flex my little bit of comic book knowledge, and I'm not going to ever say that I have even a modicum of what Techtic has, but I do know this much because, as many of you may know at this point, I freaking love Natalie Portman. I think she's great. I even, like, throughout this trailer, she made me very excited for this movie again. I really like when she has the roles where she's kind of like sassy, sarcastic. I just love it. That was a lot of her lines in this trailer. So, like, I'm here for it. But that also led me down the rabbit hole of researching, like, how does Jane become Thor in the comics? And what I think will end up happening, and this is my prediction, and maybe a slight spoiler for the comics, but essentially Jane, I don't know the definite specifics of how she becomes Thor, but basically has cancer. And while she's wielding the hammer, who I can never pronounce it correctly, Mjolnir. Thank you. While she's wielding it, it basically accelerates her demise and like undoes all of the cancer treatments. And so I think we're going to get a fun tone in the beginning of the movie because it'll be like Thor and Jane Foster getting back together, or kind of like just watching them interact. But then Gore will take it to a dark level at the end of the movie where, because his goal is to kill gods, he will somehow, maybe Natalie Portman's Thor, Jane Foster, will sacrifice herself because she knows she's on her way out anyway, and like will somehow sacrifice herself, or he will kill her somehow, and then it'll give you that tonal shift that I don't know if it'll play well. And I kind of agree with Steven here. Like, we know that there's going to be some kind of like tragedy at the end of this movie, and I don't know if that'll play well with the fun, lighthearted tone we're seeing in the trailers and that we usually get from a Taika Waititi movie.
I can see if she dies independent of the gore battle, and then they have I guess a commentary back and forth of Gore saying, "See, how can you truly think that there's good in the world when your love died?" And he goes, "It's more than that." And then they fight, something like that. I could see that happening.
I am 100% with Steven on this one. I mean, I just like, one of the things that bothers me the most about Marvel movies is, so there are movies like Thor Ragnarok, which like Thor Ragnarok was Taika Waititi, fun end to end, never really took itself seriously, didn't want to take itself seriously. Ant-Man, very similar in that respect. And then there are movies that take themselves seriously, and those are good too. Captain America and the Winter Soldier took itself very seriously and to great effect, I think. You can't do both. But like, you can't. One thing that Marvel loves to do a lot that bothers me, I watched a whole video essay about how it ruins Marvel movies, is they will create a serious moment and then undercut it with humor. And if you've seen it once, you don't need to see it 100 more times, but it's like, it's one of the most, it's like the first trick Marvel pulls out of the bag with any of these movies and shows. And the effect of that has long since worn off, and I don't think it's useful anymore. And in a movie like this, where Taika Waititi is very funny and created something really great with Thor Ragnarok, they're going to make him do that, I think. They're going to make him, you have these like black and white sequences that look like they're really going to be insanely dark, and then he's going to have to throw a quip in there. I'm very worried about that. I think that's a great point you brought up, Steven. I think otherwise, like, I think the first trailer for this movie made this movie look better, in the sense that the first trailer was all fun and games, you know, Sweet Child of Mine, Taika Waititi stuff, Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, which is I think equally irreverent in a lot of ways. It seemed like a good match. But now we're delving into, we're very serious while being funny at the same time territory, which I agree, I don't think is going to work. But on July 8th, 2022, we are going to find out. So going around the room once more, Steven, is this a theatrical experience for you, or is this a wait experience for you?
First off, this movie comes out on my birthday, so it's going to be a birthday present to me. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you guys kind of know, but all movies for me are a theatrical experience. So I'll see it that Thursday night, opening night. And I see all of these opening night. So I'll be there. I will tweet at you happy birthday, and also how was the movie. It'll be the old combo tweet. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. Techtic Nerdbomber?
We got a lot going on in July, so it'll likely be an August viewing.
Yeah, I would love to see it July 8th, but yeah, our summer is kind of shot and all over the place. A lot of the movies that I would normally want to see like day of are going to end up getting pushed, which makes me sad, but please don't spoil the movie for us. Thank you.
This is a drive-in movie for me.
Actually, that's a really good idea. Ooh.
Yep. So that's kind of like, I don't care about it so deeply that like I have to go to a theater or sit in my house and watch it. I can go to because like going to the drive-in movie theater, it's the best if you've never done it. It's so great. Everyone should do it. But you can't go and see movies that you care deeply about, because it's certainly not the most optimal movie viewing experience, no matter how you slice it. It's an experience, and a good one, and a unique one, and a fun one, but it's not like peak cinema. Like you shouldn't be going to watch certain movies there. I think Love and Thunder would be a great candidate though to go there and watch. So
I don't know if you'll lose anything seeing that at the drive-in, and I think we might steal that, because then we can at least, I don't know, fit it in somehow. I don't know. Feel
free to steal it. I think it's a perfect candidate for that sort of experience. So July 8th, 2022, Steven's birthday. Yeah, go see Thor: Love and Thunder. We'll let you know how it is. For right now, we're going to transition to What Are You Up To Wednesday. I've started a hashtag for What Are You Up To Wednesday. Hashtag WYUTW. I guess I took out the R, like the what are you up to? I'm assuming the contraction. What are you up to Wednesday? So feel free to use that. But I teased my What Are You Up To Wednesday coming into this episode. So I'll be talking about my experience with Obi-Wan. But of course, I first want to swing it over to our fantastic producer, Mr. Steven Keller. Steven, what has been going on in your life since you last joined us?
I'll do two things this week that I've done. First off, in the pre-show, we were talking about with Illeagle about, what's the next movie he's going to go see in theaters. And I think I have the one that you need to go see next in theaters.
Hit me.
And that is Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, so you did.
This week.
We talked about this last week, or we talked about this recently. I was talking with someone. Was it on this show of which one's going to be the bigger deal, this or Mission Impossible? And I think you guys both said Top Gun's going to be a bigger deal. So was it a bigger deal?
This movie's pretty dang special. Like, the action in it is just top notch. You can tell they're actually flying, which I watched a making of video, and like the actors took 3 months and trained to become pilots. Like Tom Cruise made them go through this boot camp that he's been through to fly planes. And so they're actually flying stuff, which I think sometimes they're just like in the back of the plane, not always flying, but some of the stuff they're flying, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna
in your
owe
face
me a candy
nonstop.
bar.
Yeah, I might owe you a candy bar. Yeah, right. I mean, right away, that factor right there, just the, and like that's kind of what Tom Cruise is about, right? Is like the realism of like he's actually flying the dang thing, which a lot of actors would just say, "No, just get me in there and I'll act like I am." But I have heard nothing but good things about it. So consider your endorsement heard. I think I'm interested in seeing this.
Yeah, like the only negative thing I have for it is like in the third act, it kind of turns into like a mini Mission Impossible movie, but so it kind of felt unrealistic. But other than that, the score's good. I mean, the one thing it's missing from the original version is the music. I don't think, there's no
danger zone.
I don't know if you want me to spoil anything, but
okay, fair enough. I got specific.
Not as much as the 80s music. And Jennifer Connelly's in this, and she's a goddess. So
agreed.
That right there should be a reason to go see it.
Right on. Good suggestion.
And then my other thing was that I've been doing since I mentioned Jurassic June is coming up. In preparation for that, on Apple TV Plus, a new documentary series came out called Prehistoric Planet. I don't know if you guys know much about this.
Yeah, it just started coming out.
Yeah, so they did every day this week. They did a new episode. It's narrated by David Attenborough from Planet Earth. Hans Zimmer does the score, so the music's really good. I've watched 4 of the 5 episodes, and basically each episode is a region, like it's the ocean, it's the forest, it's the desert, and they just showed dinosaurs, and it's documentary style like Planet Earth, and I'm surprised just how much I'm getting into it. Like, these are just CGI dinosaurs. They're not real, but I'm like yelling for the little baby dinosaurs to get away. I want them to avoid getting eaten.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dinosaurs start fighting. I'm like, no, you can't steal that dinosaur's eggs. Kill the other dinosaur. Get him. Take him back. Get him. And like just getting into it. And I don't know why.
Right.
It's just awesome.
This was 100% a bottle of wine binge plan for us. I'm just saying. Yeah. So I'm very excited for this. I'm so glad that you brought it up.
Yeah. And if the trailers, like for me, the trailers kind of, the CGI looked wonky. Like it didn't look right. It looks perfect now. Like the dinosaurs totally look real. Like it's like, I don't know how they did it. Whatever Jon Favreau does, because I think he's like an executive producer somehow behind it. Like, it's amazing. And it makes me want, one thing I tweeted out when watching it, which I don't want it to happen, but I want it to happen, is I want them to do a remake of The Land Before Time with these visuals, because there's a lot of scenes where
that would be incredible.
Dinosaurs just migrating, and it's like, this is Land Before Time right here. There's duck-billed dinosaurs just playing with their babies. I want it. Give me Land Before Time.
How has that not happened yet? Land Before Time remake, I mean. Like, how, just in general, how has that not happened yet? You would think that would be a total moneymaker.
It's the voiceovers that I think would really, like the implementation of voicing over these realistic looking dinosaurs.
No, there's a way to do it. I forget what movie it was.
The Lion King.
No.
I was going to say Lion King did it.
No, but there was a dinosaur
and
movie
did it badly.
that came out recently. And like, it was a little bit more animated, but instead they like, you could hear their thoughts. It wasn't necessarily like their mouths weren't moving. I don't remember what the movie was though. Oh, this is going to bug me now.
Yeah, nature and dinosaur related content have a lot of traction in our house. But if I'm being honest, typically, and like, especially when David Attenborough's involved, you put that on and I am going to Slumber Town. Not because it's not interesting, but because it's just so like
soothing
audio. It's just soothing audio. So a lot of view time in our house, but a lot of the time my eyes are closed. I'll move it up the list, and maybe my eyes will stay open for it.
Also, I think the movie that I'm thinking about, and now I feel like an idiot, the name is literally just Dinosaur. It's a Disney movie.
That came out in like the year 2000.
Yeah.
It's been out for a long, long time. I remember it being good. It was like a big deal when it came out.
Yeah, it was cute.
By today's standards, people would probably laugh at the CGI, but that's kind of how life works. So cool. Steve, anything else you want to update us on?
No, I think I'm good. I think that's two good things that I think everyone should check out.
Let me debrief you all on episode 1 of Obi-Wan. So first of all, have any of you watched any of Obi-Wan yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I have not.
So as we record this, Obi-Wan has been out for a day. I watched episode 1 on Friday, the 27th, the first day that it came out. And it had certain glimmers of goodness. But at large, I was wildly disappointed. Let me tell you why. They're setting up some great characters to be totally squandered. That's one thing. 2, not really a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler, but I'm sorry if you give Flea, the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers, any sort of speaking role in your show, you're not taking it seriously enough. That is my opinion. Feel free to tweet at me about that. And 3, I don't know. It's just like the pacing was bad. It's very slow moving. Not a whole lot of energy. Not a whole lot of action. The plot that they're setting up. This is the most important part. The plot that they're setting up, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to spoil anything, but the plot they're setting up is not interesting to me.
And
I
what is
want
that
something
plot?
different. I don't want to spoil it. I would say there's a character that you are not, based on the trailers, there's a character you're not expecting to be involved that it becomes involved. Let me just put it that way. I will say also, not a spoiler because we know he's going to show up eventually, but episode 1, no Darth Vader. So, like, what are we even doing? I think there's only 5 episodes. So you got to start working that because that's like a big reason why I even showed up. I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to watch episode 2, certainly, because that's already out.
Is the character
Ahsoka?
You could tell me.
No. She may show up at some point for all I know, but that's not the character I'm talking about. The score is good, which, like, that's just Star Wars. The score is always good in Star Wars. My fiance said, you can watch the rest of this by yourself. And I probably will. But so far, I wanted a lot more out of it than I'm getting. So I don't know. If I'm wrong, tweet at me. Tell me I'm wrong. There's one particular scene in it that I can't talk about it too much because I don't want to give away the character that's in it. But it's a chase scene, and it was comically bad. Like, it was one of the worst chase scenes I've ever seen in a show. And the whole time I was just shaking my head and kind of saying to myself, like, come on, Star Wars, you can do better than this. Ewan McGregor's fantastic, still, always. He's great. He's clearly up for it and on board with it. That's like probably the single best thing I could say about it so far, which is an important thing. We'll continue to update on Obi-Wan. That's pretty much all the update I have for this week. But we'll be continuing. I'll circle back to Obi-Wan, let you guys know how episode 2 is. So, T-Dog. Can I call you T-Dog?
Yeah.
What's been going on in the life of T-Dog?
So I'm going to steal probably what Nerdbomber is going to say because it kind of segues into some other stuff for me. One of the movies we watched was Sonic.
Sonic 2,
Sonic
to be
2.
exact.
Right.
And this... Okay, so I thought that I was going to like Idris Elba as Knuckles' voice, and I was not a fan of that. But overall, the movie was fantastic. Stick around to the end. The exact post-credit scene that you're expecting is going to happen, and it is dope. So that was great. I'm a little concerned about the voice acting for that post-credit scene as well. But all in all, it's a great movie. It's the same lovable lass that we got the first time, and it stays true to the story from Sonic 2. So it's really good that you get that continuity. They're giving us that fan service, and everything just kind of flowed well and was really good. But what watching that movie did was sort of gave us this nostalgic video game vibe. And so Nerdbomber did not want to buy the Sonic 2 case that you can get on Xbox. So I bought it, and we started playing that.
Right, there you go.
And then that put me into a more nostalgic vibe. So I was like, man, do I want to really buy Kirby? And then I went down this penny wise, pound foolish behavior of, instead of buying Kirby, I wanted to buy like the old Kirby's instead of the new one that came out. And I couldn't find it. So then instead of spending the $50 on Kirby, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save some money and buy something that I didn't want, which was Mega Man, for $20, and it was none of the Mega Mans that I remembered playing, and I couldn't seem to remember the one I played, so I played a package of Mega Mans that I just hated, and I should have just bought Kirby. So, moral of the story is, folks,
the cautionary tale.
If you want to get a game, don't try to buy a cheaper game to fill that void, because ultimately you're just going to say, man, I should have just bought the game I wanted. And you're going to end up spending more money, because I probably will go back and buy Kirby now.
Right. So then you'll be out $20 more.
Yeah. And it's just feed your inner game demon or Pooh Bear or whatever you're feeding. So
Game Angel. Come on, be nicer to your game persona.
Well, you saw it happen when Christopher Robin didn't feed his inner demons. They went and murdered people, so you got to feed them. Anyway, so that's kind of the biggest what are you up to for me, and I'm going to kick it on over to Nerdbomber.
So I do have to, first of all, weigh in. Sonic 2, I loved the first Sonic movie. Sonic 2, I really, really liked. However, I didn't think it was as good as Sonic 1. I think Sonic 1 was still superior. But that said, I really liked
You like Tails.
I love Tails.
I know you saw I saw you tweet about that. You like Tails.
I am a big Tails fan. So I was really stoked when, obviously Tails plays a big part in this movie and makes an appearance, because Sonic 2, they kind of mimicked the video games and brought Tails in. I felt like the first movie was a little bit more of like a feel-good sort of, like it was campy, but not like super over the top. It was more about the relationship between Sonic and main character cop guy whose name I don't remember offhand.
James Marsden.
The cop was almost
Right.
a forgetful amount in it.
Right. James Marsden really had a very small role in Sonic 2, and it really focused more on Sonic building his relationship with Tails, and then Knuckles coming in and like the backstory behind the echidna. And while I actually really liked that a lot, there were a few scenes that were just super kind of cringy that I don't remember the first movie having, but maybe they did. There was a scene where they have a dance-off with, I don't even know what country it was, but they were in like the
Siberia.
North. Yeah, they were in Siberia, and they were like having a dance-off, and I was like, that was very cringy. And you could tell they threw that in to like be relatable with TikTok, and I was like, well,
to the children.
Yeah, like this movie didn't need that, but okay. But overall, though, it was like they had so many little Easter egg moments that paid homage to the original games, and it was great. And it was a very feel good movie. So I feel like I just kind of like pooped on it a little bit, but it was still a really good watch and highly recommend.
Can we also talk about when we were playing Sonic 2?
Yeah, so I have a story playing Sonic 2 because I really that's the one that I wanted to play, and it had Tails and Sonic, and you could play together, and that's what I remembered from my childhood. And so growing up, this is a little like insight into Nerdbomber's background. My mom worked at an EB Games, and so she would bring home, because you had to be able to like speak towards the product, because at the time, I mean, even still, you go into a GameStop now and they speak to the product, and they kind of act as someone who recommends games and can kind of talk about it. So she would bring home games, and Sonic was one, Sonic 2 specifically, that I remember playing, and my brother would let me play with him because my brother is much older than I am, and I would always get to be Tails. And so my memories of this game were like, oh, I was so helpful. Like Tails is the sidekick, and you do
Tails
so much.
Does nothing.
Tails is barely in the screen.
The second Tails goes off screen, you basically lose all control of that character, and he'll just like helicopter into the view again. And then you'll be able to maybe jump twice before he's off screen again.
Like the only time that Tails stays on its own dedicated screen is if you're playing like the player versus player mode. And so I'm looking back now because Tactic and I were playing, and I was like, I am so sorry. I could have sworn Tails had a bigger impact in this game, because he was just like, okay, well, I'm gone again because Sonic is faster than Tails and I'm off the screen. So looking back, like my brother really did just give me Tails and like led me to believe I was contributing in a major way to the success of our gameplay, but I was not.
It was basically the equivalent of giving an unplugged controller to a kid and say, let's play together.
So that was something that I learned. Outside of that, we have been watching short shows because we've been pretty busy the last few days. But we did start watching a show called Home Economics, and that is that new show. It's like a half-hour comedy, I believe on ABC, with Topher Grace.
It's starring Illeagle.
Basically starring Illeagle. And
Are you wait, hold on. Are you saying that I'm Topher Grace? Because I don't know how I feel about
The
that.
personality that he portrays, and it's you. The mannerisms that are. It's 100% you.
Now I have to watch it. Dang it.
It's pretty good. Like, it's essentially about a bunch of siblings who are adults now and who hang out all the time, and just like the shenanigans that they get into. And I really, really relate to the wife a lot because she basically drinks a lot of wine and is just kind of snarky sometimes. And I relate to that a lot. And it's a pretty, like, for a half hour, kind of like you throw it on and it's not really a super big time commitment. It's pretty good. So it got renewed for a season 3. So check that out.
Yeah, and apparently I'm in it. I'm really curious about this because I also I don't know what happened to Topher Grace since that 70s show on it, which was 20 years ago. So
this is more of your actor doppelganger than Peaky Blinders was.
Yeah, I've heard that comparison made as well. Cool. Well, I think it's time for Steven to defend his undefeated quiz title. And
Not ready for this.
I believe before the show started, he said it's never going to happen or something to that effect. Just brimming with confidence, Steven is right now. So, Techtic will be hosting today. Topic, I don't know what the topic is.
The topic is She-Hulk.
So our records: Illeagle 86, that's me. 7-6. Techtic is at 7-6. Nerdbomber at 5-8, and Steven is at 1-0. So, She-Hulk is the topic about which I know pretty much nothing. So I feel immediately shortchanged. But let's dive right in and let's do this.
So She-Hulk's been around for quite some time. When did the first She-Hulk comic debut?
And I assume I will go first, followed by Nerdbomber, followed by Steven. We'll give Steven last ups. 1+1 per set of questions, Steven. Don't go +1 in all of us all the time. All right.
I'll try not to.
No special treatment for the guest producer here. Sorry, what was the question again? I already forgot. What year did She-Hulk hit
When
the scene,
did the first
basically?
She-Hulk comic debut?
Okay, She-Hulk is not a particularly old character. She-Hulk to me screams 1980s. I'm gonna say 1984. I'm going Orwellian with it. 1984.
Who's next, Techtic?
Thought we were going to end with Steven.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's you.
You stole my thunder a little bit, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it's 80s for sure. I boomed you.
I'm gonna give myself a 5-year window and say 1979. I feel like I'm somewhere in there.
All right. We're talking solo issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go 72.
So the answer is February 1980.
80 what? Just 1980?
Yeah, I said it to try to get Illeagle excited.
Man, it worked. That's upsetting. So it was the 80s. I was right on that front. But so Nerdbomber takes the point.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Which that's upsetting to me. Okay, fair enough. I'm game for more questions.
In what Avenger? Okay, and just so you guys know, so now it's going to go Nerdbomber, Steven, Illeagle.
Right.
In what Avengers issue did She-Hulk become a member of the Avengers?
What Avengers issue? Oh, God. I'm going to say 260. Have there been that many issues? We will find out.
There's been a lot.
I'm going to say... I'm sticking with my 72. I like that. I don't know why I like this number, but that's what I'm going with, 72.
If you had just asked how many Avengers issues are there, I would have no sense of that number. I think I gotta play low here. I'm gonna say 4.
So Steven takes this one. It was 221. Issue 221.
Oof.
So I was kind of close, though.
Oof.
I thought I really overshot after I said it.
Well, as you know, that's not how it works. Steven takes the point. So it's 1-1 to me. And Steven has first ups.
Hey, as long as Steven wins, I don't mind losing to Steven. I mind greatly losing to you, Illeagle.
I'm just sitting over here trying to figure out a way for me to sandbag that gets Steven to win and you to lose. That's my goal at this point. So just bear that in mind.
I like this.
Okay. So this episode is going to air on June 1st. From June 1st, how many days until She-Hulk is available on Disney+?
Oh, man. See, that's cheap because we just talked about this, so I should know this.
Yes, this is a test to see if you're paying attention.
I'm going to say... Oh, man, this is leading to my 72 again. I'm saying 72 again. We're sticking with it.
Dang, that's a really good guess. So hang on. I'm going to do some math here. I need a minute. Man, 72 is a really good guess. Because I know I'm like 99% sure it's sometime in mid-August. I'm gonna say 85.
I'm gonna be the jerk who does the first +1. I'm gonna say 73 because I feel like mid-August is the correct range, but like,
man, you're the worst.
Sorry.
That's the worst. Please be 72.
It is 77 days till
Man,
August
come on.
17th. So Nerdbomber takes that one again.
I hate
the
this
sun
game.
is setting. on
That's
you
crap.
guys.
I hate this game.
That's crap. Well, look, at least you have a point. There's still hope for you. How many questions are left? 2?
2. Yeah.
And you still have a +1. The sky is the limit for you, Steven.
So in the Old Man Logan comics, Hulk and She-Hulk have incestuous children.
Ew, really?
Yeah.
Wait, before we go on, can we just talk about that for a second? What?
I didn't think we were going here.
What is there to talk about? It happened.
I guess, I don't know, but like, how did Marvel okay that? But okay.
It was a world where
know,
just
the
about
time.
everyone, like a lot of people were killed and there wasn't really slim pickings were slim. So anyway, what Earth did this occur on? And just for reference, the Earth that most people is familiar with is Earth 616.
Right. And I'm first. I mean, what the heck? 888.
I'm going to say 15. I feel like incestuous things only happen in like early Earths. We've grown as we've deviated.
They're not time. They're not time. Like
I
the number
know,
isn't time
but
based.
like, I don't know. I feel like the early numbers are probably the ones that like layered out first. I don't know. Just give it to me, man.
Steven, use the +1. I implore you.
I'm sticking with it. 72. We're rolling this train.
Oh my goodness, he's going for it.
We're going for it.
All right, so Illeagle takes this one. It is
Oh man.
it is Earth
All right.
807-128. So you guys
Okay,
had
so big number.
That's
Wow.
a big number there.
a lot of margin. There's
I'll
some
take
crazy stuff that happens in this Earth, by the way. Some crazy stuff. Logan slaughters his whole family, including Hulk. There's a chick Spider-Man that's a total badass. Just a ton of good stuff.
I'll take the pity point.
Okay, so last question. You guys could potentially tie it up with Nerdbomber, but only one of you could.
Right.
How much does She-Hulk weigh?
And I'm first.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Steven, don't say it's 72, man. I know you're thinking about it.
I feel like sorry, I'm torn between two numbers. 600 pounds.
So if I'm remembering correctly, in the last episode, you said she has like a medium and a full rage. Are we talking full or are we talking...
Oh, that's a good point.
This is the form that we see in the trailer.
Nominal She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So nominal.
You know,
So not
where
full rage.
most of her combat and everything is in that form. When she really becomes savage is far and few between. So
Okay.
I feel like I overshot. Shoot.
I'm just going to go 250.
1 pound, Bob.
okay. So I just want to give you guys a reference again, pointing at the trailer. In this size, she is 6'7". So if you know anyone who's 6'7" and lighter than 250 pounds, that is crazy. But we're also talking about someone who has superhuman strength and has the muscle density of a stone.
I feel like you've got me on the edge of my seat here that like I don't know now if I'm overshot.
I was gonna say it, but then you was rudely interrupted.
Sorry.
So the total weight at 6'7" is 650 pounds.
No, really? Stop.
That's garbage.
Making Nerdbomber take this one home.
I hate this game. I'm done.
Yeah, Steven, I would be upset if I was you as well.
I think everyone
This
is completely
was
tied up
crap.
now.
No, like I thought that was like her in big mode, and then when Steven asked the question if it was like her like quote unquote regular mode, I thought for sure I was like, no, there's no way. I'm done here.
Hulk is double that for reference.
So everyone is not tied up, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm 7-7. Techtic is 7-6. Nerdbomber 6-8. And Steven 1-1. So me and Steven have the same percentage record. I just throw that out there. But Nerdbomber's still in last. So Nerdbomber, enjoy your time in the sun. But I don't know. I'm not happy that you won. I don't know what to say. I'm mostly not happy that Steven didn't keep his undefeated record, because I really enjoyed every week saying Steven 1-0. Now I'm gonna have to say Steven 1-1.
Steven, you were throwing in the towel with those 72 guesses.
But I was close.
It's a strategy. Yeah. I respect it.
If I didn't +1 you that one time, you would have had that one.
I had it.
Nerdbomber played dirty. We all know. Everyone's talking about it already on Twitter. Twitter's blowing up right now. As people listen to this episode, they're saying, how could she do that? And the answer to that, listeners, is I don't know. I don't know how she could do that, but she done did it.
I mean, to be fair on that one, we all kind of had an idea it was mid-August. Steven, it was a really, really good guess.
Yeah.
It's like August 22nd or something like that, isn't it?
It's August 17th. Yeah, so that brings us to the end, an unsatisfying end, but an end nonetheless. Steven, I want to thank you so much for being here, continuing to come back on the show. We love having you. Anything you want to shout out before we close things out? Any Jurassic June
just
PSAs?
For Jurassic June. The Jurassic Park movie comes out. It's going to be good. Yeah, it's just a good time to celebrate dinosaurs.
Right on. There you have it, folks. So thanks again to Steven for being here. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you listened to, you can head over to Patreon. No, you can head to our Patreon if you want, but you can also head to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review there. Hit us up on Twitter at the handles we mentioned, and just let us know what you think. And we will see you next week for the second episode of Jurassic June. And in the meantime, Techtic, why don't you take us out with a tech tip?
Happy Memorial Day.
Good tip. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.